Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 3 of NextUp Return to Play. We've had an amazing first 2 days with speakers like David Robinson, Diane Garber, Paul Rabel, Dr. Bill Taylor, Congressman Max Rose. And today, day 3, we're really focusing on more practical aspects of how sports organizations and communities can return to play with 4 different sessions geared towards the LeagueApps community of partners and organizations that we work with closely. This session is really called Now Technology Leads to Time and Cost Saving. And we're going to be able to talk through all of the tactics, tips, and ways that we can help your organizations and be as practical as possible. We have the Q&A open. We have a chat tool. We're going to get to questions. We're going to make this as interactive as possible. And I'm glad to be here with someone who's much better than me at this, with my teammate and our head of strategic partnerships, Rohit Kohli. Rohit has been at LeagueApps basically as long as I have. He's been with us from almost near the beginning, has done thousands of walkthroughs, product demonstrations, has formed more partnerships than anyone in the history of the company across all different sports, is a wealth of knowledge. And that goes 2 ways. He learns so much from our partners and the conversations that he has about youth sports, and has probably talked to more youth sports organizers than just about anybody out there in the world. I'm Brian Litvack. I'm the CEO and co-founder of LeagueApps. I've had the chance to be part of a great team here at LeagueApps that has put together NextUp over the last few days, and really excited to be participating in this conversation, in this discussion right now. Just to show you how close me and Roy are, here's a picture from our team meetings. This is pre-COVID, so you don't have to call the tracers or the health inspectors just yet. That's me and Roy in the red circle in the front, making sure that we're letting the whole world know how much we're passionate about youth sports communities, technology, and software. And we'll try to bring the thunder and that energy in this presentation that we have right now. To give you guys a little bit on who we are and what we've done. Thankfully, as we go through this presentation, we have some experience here. We work with over 3,000 sports organizations, and 10,000 sports organizers have used our platform to help create and develop programs for their communities. We've had over 10 million parents, players, and coaches register through our platform. We've processed over $1.5 billion in transactions. We really started in 2010, so this summer is our 10-year anniversary of the LeagueApps platform. We're incredibly proud of the ways that we've partnered and teamed with sports organizations throughout the country to enable and help them with sports, and hopefully share some of those tips with you right now. A little bit more about our team. We've been fortunate enough to have an incredible group of investors and partners that we work with. You guys all have heard David Robinson, hopefully yesterday, and Paul Rabel, who were 2 of the speakers earlier in our town halls. Shane Battier joined us, and we have incredible investment partners that have contributed to helping us build our platform and grow and scale over the last course of the last few years. Today, we're really here to talk about technology and software. You know, we've embraced the opportunity to be part of the conversation, to take part in hopefully advancing the return to play education and knowledge. We look at ourselves as if we can be valuable and helpful in thought leadership, and if we could help develop community, we're doing our part in making sure that sports comes back in a more safe, healthy, and enhanced way than ever before. But we also, on our day-to-day, are incredibly proud of the platform that we've built over the last 10 years. There's no coincidence that our main product and service is around software, because we believe that is what can actually allow us to have the most profound effect in how sports communities organize and create valuable experiences, which goes towards our mission. And in this session, what we really want to get deep into is when you when you and your community are returning to play, how important it is to make sure that you're using every tool and advantage necessary to support your organization, and how software really can enable and allow your community and your organization to achieve goals in coming back and returning to play. We're going to start with 3 time-saving tips. It is what we've seen from many of our partners is just how incredibly hectic it is and how much is going into everything that has to happen to return to play. And there's more considerations around health and safety and protocol than ever before, for good reason. But then there's also a lot of demands from parents, from players, from facilities. More information is needed to be shared and be accessed. So what we're going to talk through is 3 of the ways that software and specifically the LeagueApps platform can allow you to automate processes, save some more time, and allow you to focus on that which is most essential with your organization. So I'm going to turn this over to Roy. Again, he's done thousands of demos, demonstrations, and product walkthroughs at LeagueApps, but I think this one is especially unique and exciting to us because, like everything else, we're evolving the way we operate, and some of our features or some of the use cases in our platform are evolving with what's happening in the world. So Roy, I know you spent a lot of time and we've worked throughout the last few days on what are the most important pieces of information and features that we can share. Excited for you to take it away here and share with the group.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. I'm really excited to be here talking to everybody about return to play. Obviously, this is something that I'm super passionate about, being at LeagueApps for the last 7+ years. Brian doesn't count my first year at LeagueApps because during our first team meeting, I flew out to Vegas for a 3-day bachelor party with my buddies. But no, this is an extremely different time for all of us. For the last several years, nothing like this has ever occurred. No kind of big situation that anybody had to deal with in the youth sports world. So organizers are asking questions. And, one of the things that I always think about is how can LeagueApps with our software be valuable at this time now? So one of the first things that I want to talk through quickly is obviously kind of, the core of our business with registrations and payments digitally, right? And it's not something that's necessarily new at this time. But with LeagueApps, we've thought about every single type of unique situation that might ever get thrown at you as a youth sports organizer, right? And what we're really trying to do is bring this world of registration and payment collection and even communication really together underneath one hood. So you're not really being forced to go into several platforms, which when, again, like Brian mentioned on the thousands of conversations that I've had, is usually the number one problem. Parents are going into multiple places. They don't know exactly where to get information from. So the first thing that we're going to try and do is bring the professionalism to your organization that parents now expect from Amazon or Uber or wherever else they purchase things from. Automatic reminders, storing your credit card. These are just simple things that now you can do on your cell phone. So again, no human contact. You're going to be able to get your money the right way, quickly and securely. And again, please drop in questions. We'll love to kind of answer anything. We, again, thought through every type of different registration experience you kind of could have thought of, because we work with club teams, camps, clinics, tournaments, anybody really who's running a youth sports organization, we've spoken to at LeagueApps. So we definitely understand your different nuances that go into it. The next piece here that I really want to dive into, and is something that is not as kind of prevalent and seen out there, is this ability to kind of empower your team and to allow your administration team to have different access points to LeagueApps, and to even empower your volunteers and your team managers and even parents that might step up at this time to help the sports organization. So we think about everything: scheduling, treasurers and accountants for financial access, coaches to create rosters. And then in general, just kind of communicating back and forth with any other essential staff that might be volunteering or who might be at the field. Right now, we need to kind of be socially distancing, so it's a little bit different when you can hold team meetings. And even as LeagueApps, we're completely a company now that was based in New York City, and we're structuring everything through Zoom. So everything that you can do to stay more organized during this time, but also give access to your administration team to then have, different points of access to LeagueApps without, being able to see other things, is something that we really have thought through. There's about 9 different layers of access in LeagueApps. So you can create almost 9 different roles for the different people who work within LeagueApps. And we're excited to kind of help you guys think through how you can, again, empower the rest of your team. And also think about the new people that might be joining your organization, and how easy is it for you to train them, and how easy is it for you to get them up and running so they can start being a valuable asset to your team. Again, drop questions. We'd love to walk through anything, or we can schedule a time afterwards. The third thing that I want to talk about is communication paths. And, what I've heard from organizations is, yes, winning is great and having cool logos and all those kinds of jerseys is amazing. But the best organizations are the ones that communicate the best. And the best way to do that sometimes, obviously, is through your, functional website. Is it easy to navigate? Do you have the right information up there? Do parents have to call in and ask you questions? Because that's what's going to eat up your time and not allow you to focus on how to return to play. So we think about your website. We think about schedule reminders, obviously texts and push notifications, and then even targeting your email to specific organizations or specific people or groups, making sure that you can retain your players. Everybody who tried out last year, let's make sure they try out this year. Everybody who signed up for a camp last year, let's make sure they sign up for a camp this year. Those are all things that we really think about. Retention is key at a time like this. So again, communicating, whether again through a website or through a schedule reminder or a push notification, is extremely important at this time. Brian, before we go into, do you want to kind of talk through a little bit about what we're going to discuss on revenue optimization?
Sure. Well, we have one question, Roy, from Nick Vansalut that asked about mobile and how an organizer can use mobile tools to help run their organization from a safe distance, as we put it, and what tools that they can use to allow them to more effectively remotely operate their organization and their community.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think about that kind of 3 ways almost. Just one, for your parents, obviously letting them register and do waivers online, any new liability agreements that you guys come out with, or if you're going to upsell them on products or even ask them to donate at a time like this. Mobile tools are obviously capable within LeagueApps, and people can register and pay online. And you can do it right at the field. So even if they show up, they don't have any of that completed, just ask them to go onto your website and get it done. Then the second piece is obviously if you get any information that you need to kind of track and manage. If you get, you want to mark off that you received that waiver, if you want to mark off that you received payment, you can obviously do that as a manager. And then the third thing that you really kind of want to do is empower your coaches. So let them check players in, let them see, send out messages if you need to move to a different field, if anything kind of changed at the last minute. So these are all tools that we allow mobily for our organizations and our organizers. And again, you're empowering your coaches, you're managing yourself, and it's easier for your parents.
Thanks, Roy. The second part of the tips and the optimizations that we want to share was around both cost savings and how to optimize revenue, where we recognize that most organizations that we partner with have a model that is pay to play, where parents or players are submitting fees at the beginning of the season that allow them to participate in your organization or within your community. And for that, payments is essential, and online payments is really the first feature set that we've fully built out when we first started this company almost a decade ago to help organizations collect fees easily from coaches, parents, and players. We've learned a lot over the past 10 years around the best ways to do that. We've processed over $1.5 billion. And what we try to do at LeagueApps is enable you to optimize the way that you want to do that in your community, so that fundraising and driving revenue is what allows you to provide the programmings that you do. How can LeagueApps, with different configurations and settings, allow you to set things up properly that can make it as easy as possible to make the collection of fees an afterthought, where it almost is just in your account or in your dashboard. You're seeing that the money and the funds and the fees are going straight to where they're supposed to go. You don't have to spend time collecting or losing out on revenue. You can figure out the ways to put in all the knowledge or information into that registration flow to collect the fees for the programming and the services that you provide. And with that has evolved and will continue to evolve. Almost 60% of registrations now happen in mobile devices, and we continue to invest in our mobile solutions to make that as easy as possible. We've built features like stored credit cards that, to Roy's point, make it easier to collect donations or charge for additional products, or make it as convenient as possible for the coaches, parents, and players within your community to exchange funds. And what we want to do is make sure that we help our organizations figure out what they need to accomplish as they're returning to play. It's been an incredibly tough period of revenue loss for so many of the organizations and the partners that we work with. That here are now some tips that Roy is going to share about as you return to play, how to think about whether you're a nonprofit that needs fundraising to exist, or you're a for-profit organization that's looking for more ways to make up for the slowdown or the pause in youth sports. He'll share some tactics or some ways to configure platforms to accomplish these goals.
Yeah, thanks. Driving revenue is obviously ideal at a time like this, when I'm sure a few months in a row you weren't able to collect any money. And what I know from talking to my partners is that parents want to help and they want to see the organization succeed. So one of the things that you can do during this time is try and upsell during the registration flow itself. And what you can tell at this time is that, your parent is in their most heightened commitment to you and your organization, right? Their credit card is out. Their child is probably sitting right next to them. They're excited to now get out of the house. So there's an opportunity for you to go ahead and say, hey, would you like to add this into your cart? So a few things that we've seen organizers do within our world is use LeagueApps to collect either insurance and add-on, and obviously good to do that at a time like this. Donations, like Brian has discussed. Virtual add-ons, virtual programming is not going to go anywhere. It is here to stay and to take sports beyond the field. And we've discussed some of this, in day one. So having an add-on where somebody can add their membership is a great opportunity there. And then the last thing would be swag. It's something that's extremely important for organizations like yours to increase your brand awareness. And it's an opportunity, parents don't usually know where to get it. If you're going to rely on them to click the store button and then go to a different store and then end up getting their goods that way, you're maybe getting in 1 out of 5 of your parents are actually going to see that store. But 5 out of 5 of your parents are going to have to register. So you can show all that swag opportunity right in the registration flow, and it's something we're extremely excited about. And we can share more on how this works. You can track inventory. There's a lot of kind of cool opportunities here. The next thing I want to get into, and this is something that we have seen over the last couple of months, our designers have been working around the clock because this has been a great opportunity to have some downtime to think about your website and how you're converting your web traffic. And one of the things that we think a little bit more about here at LeagueApps is not just all the great customers that you and the parents who love you, but what about that parent who moved into the area recently, or, their child just aged into that age group where now they are just, they want that kid to get out of the house. So they're looking for you and your organization. So they need something that is easy to understand. How do they sign up? What's the next step when I come to your website? What is the call to action? Is it mobile? So these are all things that we think about. Here at LeagueApps, and we really think about, the Google Analytics and where people are clicking on your website. And something we're extremely proud of to offer to all of our customers is this great, website that really showcases, you and your mission and what makes you unique as an organization. Again, this is something Brian and I have loved to kind of, is a little bit outside of the platform, originally. But over the last several years, we've really made this into a really strong part of the LeagueApps platform now. And it's something that we almost lead with, that we can really solve your marketing experience and your website solution. Any thoughts here, Brian, on just websites?
Yeah, often websites are looked at as a vanity or something that can be a cool depiction of your club, but we see it more as a business solution that drives real value. So whether it is conversion or whether it is attracting sponsorship or new employees or staff members or administrators or helping you get field space, to think about what are the goals for which you want your website to drive, especially how does it drive more registrations by creating more efficient funnels or by allowing people to come to your site and learn about the health and safety protocols or learn about the mission of your organization, which makes them more likely to reach out by email or to sign up or to learn more. So we believe are creating more websites in youth sports than any other organization. And we're doing that not just as how to create a site for a small business or organization, but how to help you achieve the business goals. And when you get on a training session or a call with Michelle and Zay and our team on the design studio, they're thoughtful about their approach depending on what your business goals are.
Yeah, that's kind of the personal touch that we really like to try and bring here at LeagueApps in general, right? We try to understand your processes. We try to understand how you want to collect registration, how you want to collect payments, how you want to be seen by your community. This is just another example of an amazing website that we built for David Villa, and you might have seen him on one of the earlier slides. He's one of our investors and runs a great organization, and just bringing unique flares, to your website. And even allowing you to track how that's helping you guys kind of collect registrations and payments. We can share more examples. Again, feel free to ask any questions about websites. We know it's a tough piece of the puzzle to kind of fully, understand and invest into. But would love to have any conversations around that. The last piece here, it kind of makes sense and it's pretty straightforward, but tracking every dollar sometimes isn't as easy when you're dealing with the youth sports organization, just because it comes in from so many different channels, whether people are mailing in checks or registering online or things are being handed to your coach, whether you want to do processing fees, whether you want to do credits now because people missed the spring season. These are all things that LeagueApps over the last several years we've been able to work on, and hand in hand with amazing organizations. And one that comes to mind is a great club in Dallas, in Solar Soccer, where they have one of the greatest admins that we've spoken to, in Stephanie Landro, who runs a club of basically 500 plus teams by herself. And she's in there and she's creating different plans and she's dealing with different situations that get thrown at her. And the best piece is that she doesn't have to go to another spreadsheet, or then she doesn't have to go to QuickBooks over there to manage that registration, or she doesn't have to go to a different email situation to send out a reminder. It's all structured within LeagueApps. So this way, when you're coming back from Corona and COVID and allowing different registrations or different programs, or you're going to create a unique way in how your parents are going to start registering because they're going to do a deposit and then you're going to apply a credit later on. These are all things that customers are telling me now. We can allow you to manage in one system. So this is something we're extremely proud of. Just being able to really think through the different user cases, because payments can be extremely finicky and sticky, and it gets a little awkward when you're dealing with youth sports because you don't want to ever say no to a child when it comes down to money, but it has to be tracked. So this is what we allow for within LeagueApps. And, there's just reminders, there's professionalism that we're really excited about. Again, feel free to ask any questions. Brian, anything coming through?
When it comes to tracking, one question that Roy often asks that I think is a good discussion or thoughtful, leads to a thoughtful dialogue, is what percentage of your payments are you collecting today? And what we see is most sports organizers who do this because they are passionate and care about their communities and about running sports within their neighborhood are not advanced collections agents or accounts receivable experts. And we often get sentiment around, it's not fun to chase down parents. Oftentimes we don't want to get into these complex conversations, especially now, about can you afford this, or why haven't you paid an installment? And what we've tried to do is remove that friction. so that you aren't in awkward conversations when you're asking parents for checks or if the to allow kids to play or not. That this is all happening within a platform. You can send multiple reminders. You can set how you want to do that. You can track all payments. You can have credit card on file. If something fails, it can be tried again, so that it's more easy. There's more protocol or process of how you can communicate if a parent doesn't go through, and how you can track that all in real time. And it is better for everyone. As an organizer, you're not worried about having these conversations person to person. The parent, usually it's convenience is often the reason why they haven't been able to pay when they were supposed to, and offering them different ways of doing that. We don't only take credit card, we now take ACH. You can also enter offline payments. The goal is to track 100%. And, as a software and data company, once you track 100%, it's much easier to achieve that goal of collecting 100%. And that difference between what many organizations are collecting today and 100% is usually something that is able to fund scholarships or able to allow you to bring a new employee or staff member onto your field or give more benefit to the players within your organization. So it seems simple, and it is. And we want to make it even more simple. And that's why we really taken a lot of focus on for things like payment plans and for moving payments around and for discounts, how you're able to track everything within the LeagueApps system.
Yeah, absolutely. That's usually the conversation that we like to really look at, and then see that number and just kind of work towards a goal of getting to 99 or getting to 100% collection rates. And that's something that sports organizers and our partners are extremely proud of, kind of getting towards, because it leads to the other things, because it leads to the scholarships and the discounts for everybody else.
Hey, Roy, we had one question from John Rader who asked about purchasing team swag, and if that's able to be seen within the registration process for a parent as they're signing their kids up.
Yeah, it's a great tool that you can utilize exactly for that. Any type of registration that you are collecting, whether it's just a deposit or you're asking to register for a camp or a virtual training, if you're trying to collect that information, a waiver and a quick payment, right in between, you can add a small product that they can see. They can add their size, whatever it may be, and put it into their cart and make payment. It's a great opportunity, just because, again, parents are not going to click that store button and go shop. They're just going to register and feel like that's the end of it.
And Roy, one more question from Cookie Clark, and she brings up a good point. Are parents able to make mobile transactions? And then how does stored credit cards come into play to make it easier for parents to make those transactions? Or when I say transactions, register and submitting payments for their own or their child's programs.
Yeah, it's a good question. So the first time when they're registering through our system, we do several things. One is you're going to create a profile, and so you don't have to enter in basic information. Again, just like any other system, like in Amazon. So when you do get the payment, you're going to store that credit card, and any time else that you need to either make a payment plan or you need to pay for another camp or you're buying another jersey. Again, just like Amazon, where it's simple, couple of clicks and you're done with payment. You're going to get a reminder. Same exact type of white labeled brand and feel we want to bring to your organization. And that's what LeagueApps does behind the scenes. And you just kind of, you set it up and it runs for you. And that's one of the things also that Brian's going to discuss a little bit, is how we help you set this up. Because once you do get, become an expert at LeagueApps, which, only takes, a few days, you're able to create registrations, sell products, communicate. And it's something that we really are proud of, that we train our customers and our partners to be experts at the platform.
Roy, another question came in from Wendy Miller, who uses LeagueApps for her facility. And she says she often has last minute gaps where there's availability or that they want to message or communicate to their community that there is opportunity to play. What are some of the tools that she can use to best get messages out to her users about last minute opportunities?
Yeah, I actually think about communication in a few paths, right? So one is obviously you're going to use like some sort of email tool to kind of blast that out, and that's great. Everybody's going to do that. But then you can take that a step further and filter and dissect, your email list within LeagueApps and start targeting those new registrations to different people. And you can target people who came to a last program, people in a certain age group or a certain location. So then you feel that it might be a better program for them that they might register for immediately. And then the second thing that I think about is obviously social media. So how are you taking like a direct, simple, unique URL and immediately getting it on all the different social media channels that you then have? And then the last piece might be texting. A lot of organizations, love to text their parents and players because they know that's the way that they are consuming information at this time. So you can take that same unique URL, send it in a direct text message to these organizations, and they won't have to clutter through your website or anything like that. Their profile will be saved, their credit card will be saved. So they'll hit register, a couple more clicks, and they're done with registration and they paid you. So, these are all things that we offer within LeagueApps. And Brian, I think you're going to discuss a little bit right now about on the service of what we do here at LeagueApps, and something we're extremely proud of.
Yeah, we'll get into service and partnership in a second because it is such an important component of what value we can bring to your organization. It's more than just the features in the software. We're going to share 2 links right now that we've come up with to help our partners and be a resource for sports organizations. One is a checklist, a return to play checklist of some of the considerations that you want to think through as you start going live with your programs again. We've led workshops and leadership groups over the last few weeks, and we recognize how just incredibly complex it is to make sure that you're abiding by health regulations, oftentimes state, local, and municipal ordinances, with facilities expectations are, and then also communicating well to your parents and your players, and things like having cones 6 feet apart where the kids on their team put their bags down, to having sanitation stations, to having players be responsible for bringing their own sanitation kits. There's so many new aspects of organizing youth sports and local sports as it was difficult to start with. So we're building out resources. We're continuing to having forums and town halls to make it, to share really, and to make it as easy as possible for you to get the information that you need to help return to play. Where we really believe that we can excel as a team, and where we view the relationships we have with our partners as teammates, is around our service and the ways that we can help you optimize using LeagueApps to 100% of value. So there's a few ways that we do that. First, every single one of our new partners will have one-on-one training with a member of our LeagueApps customer success team. That's usually 2 to 3 phone calls where you're working through how best to configure LeagueApps to the needs of your organization. We are adamant that the way you are running your organization in your community is something that you know best, and that our software needs to be configurable and adaptable to allow you to be more automated and achieve your goals by using LeagueApps. We'll also do training. If there are other people on your staff, we'll work with them. You'll get to know a member of our customer success team and have their number in your phone and talk to them regularly. We take a lot of pride in that. As I mentioned, just making sure that the way we're configuring LeagueApps is the best way that you get the most value out of our platform. And some of the sessions coming up after this one are really this idea of using this pause to help our partners as much as possible optimize all of the different features that we have. So one thing we like to discuss on our customer success team is, how do we get every organization using 100% of the value that LeagueApps can offer? And where we've developed a club health audit to make sure that each of our partners is getting the most value out of the ways that they configure LeagueApps. Sometimes a click of a button or a change of a setting unlocks revenue or time savings in pretty substantial ways. We try to make it as simple as possible to get up and running on LeagueApps. That usually takes 2 to 4 weeks from the time of commitment to going live with programming, to have those few calls. There's homework both ways. We try to make that as structured as possible. the more engaging, technologically savvy organizations usually run with it, or when an organization assigns someone on their team to becoming an expert. That's really where we see the most value is derived from LeagueApps, and those organizations can get moving the quickest. We recognize right now is a period where organizations are going live with programming and registration incredibly quickly, and we're doing our best to support all of our partners. And then just making sure that you know about all of the features that we have. There was a question around MailChimp. We're getting more into integrating LeagueApps with all of the other software platforms that you use, recognizing almost every organization, even smaller organizations, are using multiple software platforms. We have another presentation about that later today, making sure that we can configure things like the text messaging line, e-Facebook integration. We offer our own payments platform through Stripe called LeagueApps Gateway. That is efficient and allowing us to help as much getting transactions into reporting into your bank accounts. So all of that we hook up within weeks, and really we want to make sure that you're getting value out of our platform, and that you're seeing the benefits of software as quickly as possible. And we get excited when an organization starts opening registrations and starts collecting payments, because that's often when they see, wow, how well this works for your coaches, parents, and players, how seamless this is, how you're able to track everything in your dashboard or in your management console, and how all of the reporting makes it easy to understand what's happening. So the service and the partnership with LeagueApps on the one-to-one level, as well as we're continuing to invest in the community, are things that we're extremely proud of, and that is as important as any feature or functionality set that we have. The last thing I really want to get into is, how we make decisions at LeagueApps of what we're building next. We often get asked about our roadmap. So some of the guiding principles about how we look at how we determine what to build and what we prioritize. I believe it starts really with we want to do right by you. The local sports organizations within communities that are making sports happen is the only way that we can be valuable. So every time we make a decision around a feature or functional set of tools, or a new way or a new product that we're offering, we're trying to understand how is this going to bring more value to local sports communities. A big kind of philosophical perspective of LeagueApps is that this is your community and it's your data. You own the data. LeagueApps will never market or promote or share your data and your members' data with anyone without your explicit permission, and that you'll have complete control of how to use that data. That's very important to us, right? It's your community. We're a software platform that enables your goals. We're not trying to figure out ways to use that data for other purposes. I mentioned this a few times, but making sure that the platform works the way that you want it to work, the way that you run your organization, right? That the software adapts to the use cases and the things that your organization cares about. So whether that's a multi-child discount, or whether that's a unique way to do private payment plans so that you can help provide scholarship for certain kids, or the way that you want your website to look, or the messaging that you want to share, all of that, we strive to make as configurable as possible. LeagueApps is part of your complete solution. We are big believers in software and data. We know that you'll need to use more than one tool. We want to make sure that LeagueApps connects to those other things to provide the overall solution for your community. Right now, we talked about MailChimp. We're looking at QuickBooks Online integrations. We're looking at integrations with other software platforms. Earlier this week, we announced a partnership with Famer, which is a virtual training platform, because that's something that we saw there was a lot of demand from partners, from everything from recruiting services to travel companies. If there are other companies that you use that have software products that you find valuable, we want to hear about it. Come to our session at 3:30 p.m. today, because what we know and what we even recognize in our own company is that you will use different types of softwares. We're not going to be the best at everything. but we can be a platform that connects all those things together as seamlessly as possible. And ultimately, where we are excited and we see our place in the local and youth sports landscape is that we want to create solutions. And we believe that we can create solutions through software, data, and technology, that's going to become more prominent, that as there are all of the new use cases that are happening coming out of the pandemic as we return to play, that how can we leverage this and how can we use our expertise to help all of our partners look at the ways that they can come up with new solutions to some of the new use cases and challenges that are going to exist as we return to play, and make it as easy as possible. We want to be your geeky friends that figures out the things that you don't want to figure out because you're on the fields coaching kids or doing what you're passionate about. So I will, if there's any final questions, we can take that. A few announcements to make here. If anyone wants their own guided walkthrough or wants to learn more about the LeagueApps platform or go deeper into our features, just go to the LeagueApps homepage. You can use the chat tool. I think Gretchen is on there and will be happy to speak to you. You can use the link that I just shared to sign up for a demonstration where we will walk you through the product. That is usually 45 minutes. We try to be as custom to the needs and the questions that you have. So please take advantage of that. We have a short survey that we're going to send to you right as you close out of this window that just gives us feedback. One of the ways that we use data ourselves to make these sessions as productive as possible. Feel free to reach out to me directly. I'll post my email. It's just Brian@LeagueApps. Would love to hear from you and learn from you and understand the challenges that your organization faces as you return to play. There's 2 other sessions coming up that are more geared to partners, although they are open to everyone. As I mentioned, we're really digging in deep with our existing partners about the ways that when they return to play, they're going to be using software and data better than they ever have had before. So thank you for being part of this today. Thank you for Roy. He's much better looking and much more knowledgeable on the platform than I am. So appreciate him coming in here and saving my tail. I appreciate everyone participating and being part of NextUp Return to Play. It's really the inspiration that we have from this is through our partners and coming to our town halls and coming to our leadership forums and participating and teaching us, and the passion that you all have to get sports going again is something that we share. And if this helps anyone this week, then we're deeply kind of excited and satisfied that we're doing our little part as well. That's it for now. So enjoy the rest of the sessions. You'll be able to find all these on video, and thank you for attending today. Thank you, Roy.
Thanks, everybody.